morning, everyone, and welcome to your Neighborhood Unitarian Universalist congregation. My name is Susanne. I'm in my office at 310 Danforth, and I have a large rainbow flag hanging behind me. I have your announcements for the coming week. First announcement is regarding Spirit Choir. We're getting back together tomorrow for our last song circle of the year at Withrow Park. That's in the southwest corner of the park, a quieter corner, tomorrow night at 7 p.m. And then the following week we'll begin our Zoom rehearsals from 7 to 8:30 p.m. Talent Night is coming up. Our first Talent Night, Friday, October the 1st from 7:30 to 9-ish p.m. Our Talent Night is a night for our members and friends to come and share, whether that be a song, a dance, a poem, a story. All ages and talents are welcome. To find Talent Night, you have to go to the music Zoom room, not this service room, which is tinyurl.com/neighborhoodmusic or NUUC music. You can contact me for more info about our Talent Night. Coming up on October 5th is the virtual tour of the Mohawk Institute Residential School. Join the members of the DMC in learning more. The tour covers the school's history, including interviews with survivors, and will conclude with a debrief Q&A with a staff person from the Woodland Cultural Center. Registration is limited to 40 people, and a minimum $10 donation is requested to go to the residential school. No one will be turned away for inability to financially contribute, and you'll find the link to register in our Monday mailing. The 8th Principle Discussion, an online discussion in preparation for the CUC's vote on adopting the 8th Principle, as well as our own congregation's vote on adopting it for ourselves. The discussion is happening Tuesday night from 7 to 8:30 p.m. That's here in our regular Zoom service space. Please join us. Neighborhood Walk and Roll number 4 is happening Saturday, October 2nd, starting at 7 p.m. We're going out to the Leslie Spit, also known as Tommy Thompson Park this time, a beautiful gem in the East End. We'll meet right at the entrance of the park, which is at the bottom of Leslie Street. It is a paved path, so you're able to roll. You can do bird IDs with Steve, plant IDs with Nancy, or have a bike ride out to the lighthouse with me. Everyone's welcome. And next Sunday, our theme is Black Lives Matter. A message of inspiration will be given by Donovan Hayden, and music provided by Susanne and friends.
Welcome to our Neighborhood Unitarian Universalist congregation service on Zoom. Today's service is entitled Love Thy Neighbor. We welcome you here as we stay emotionally and spiritually close in times when we need to be physically apart. My name is Deb Bertazzon. I'm a member here at Neighborhood, and I will be your virtual service weaver this morning from my home in Toronto. My intersectionality, I identify as a lesbian, queer, white, cisgender woman settler. My pronouns are she, her. Our musical director is Susanne Mazaris, and she'll be leading us in music today from the Musicalel office at the congregation, as she mentioned. Our minister is the Reverend Wayne, and he'll be giving his message today from our sanctuary at 310 Danforth, which I've been to recently, and I must say is looking really great. Zack facilitates our Sunday Child Caregiver program and is off today. However, he has sent us a video for his Time for All Ages. We also have Mike Kozowski, who will be working his magic doing today's Zoom hosting and duties of all things AV. Peter Marmrick, I believe, will be doing cut and paste of the lyrics and useful pieces like readings to assist you in following along. Thank you to them all. Now, we've spoken about this many times over the past year and a half, but just a gentle reminder regarding some Zoom etiquette. Please remember to stay muted, keep the chat boxes open for readings and lyrics, and don't send chat messages to everyone during the service. It's unnecessarily distracting. And good news, a reminder that we now have closed captioning available. You can click at the bottom of your screen to start or stop. This service is being recorded for the public on both YouTube and on our website. Joys and concerns or similar personal moments will be edited out. If you have any privacy concerns, you can turn off your camera so that you're not seen, or you may want to rename yourself. Sacred space and cyberspace may be strange bedfellows, but with your help, they can work together like good neighbors. Now we have nowhere else to go and nothing else to do. Please shut off all of your apps that might distract you, or put your device on Do Not Disturb so that you can experience presence. This is our threshold moment. Let us enter sacred space together and be open to all that will be. Let our service begin now. As we light our chalice, I encourage you to light your own personal chalice or a candle, or consider holding your hands in the shape of a chalice. But either way, please join our choir as we sing.
We light this chalice to remember, to light the fire within our own hearts.
And now for our prelude. Susanne, would you like to introduce it?
I sure would, Deb. Thank you. For the prelude this morning, I'll be sharing a song, Same Boat Now, that I recorded with Allison Kabayama last week. And thank you to Allison for her excellent vocals. The song is based on a quote from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. We may have come here on different ships, but we're in the same boat now. I do note that this excludes Indigenous people who did not arrive here on said ships. But we've heard this phrase, we're all in the same boat now. And if we start acting this way, maybe a better world could be possible. So I hope you enjoy the song. It was written in 1983 by Betsy Rose.
We may have come here on different ships, but we're in the same boat now. We may have come here on different ships, but we're in the same boat now. Hemos llegado diferentes barcos, estamos en la misma bota ahora. Hemos llegado diferentes barcos, estamos en la misma bota ahora. Some of us came here for freedom, from hunger and from hate. Some of us came here to make it rich, and some of us came in chains. We landed in your sweatshots and we died on your frontier. We pulled the cotton from the land that we watered with our tears. We may have come here on different ships, but we're in the same boat now. We may have come here on different ships, but we're in the same boat now. Some grew rich by toil and trade, some grew rich by vice. Some grew rich in power, and all of us paid the price. And in the name of progress, how we ground each other down. But no one is the winner when you're building on bloody ground. Hemos llegado diferentes barcos, estamos en la misma bota ahora. Hemos llegado diferentes barcos, estamos en la misma bota ahora. Women of all colors, from every walk of life, we bore the hidden burden as mothers, daughters, and wives. Hired when we're needed, sent home when jobs run down. But we're not waiting on the shore, we're turning the boat we're in the same boat now. We may have come here on different ships, but we're in the same boat now. We're a people born of many shores, a journey so entwined. And we'll be on a sinking ship if we leave anybody behind. Don't wanna be no melting pot, we're a rainbow family. And it's gonna take everything we've got to set each other free. We may have come here on different ships, but we're in the same boat now. We may have come here on different ships, but we're in the same boat now. Hemos llegado diferentes barcos, estamos en el mismo bote ahora. Hemos llegado diferentes barcos, estamos en el mismo bote ahora. We may have come here on different ships, but we're in the same boat now. We may have come here on different ships, but we're in the same boat. We're in the same boat. We're in the same boat now.
Wow. Thank you, Allison and Suzanne. That was wonderful. Good morning and welcome. Recently, you may have heard that Ryerson University, my alma mater and place of work, has made some good decisions. In order to respond to the colonial history and legacy of Egerton Ryerson, the Board of Governors approved a motion to accept all 22 recommendations presented by the Standing Strong Task Force, including the recommendation to rename the university. The task force also identified some tangible ways in which the university can both promote an understanding of truth and participate in the process of reconciliation. Here at Neighborhood, we endeavor to do the same. Today, almost all of us are in our homes in isolation. Let us remember that many of these homes are on the traditional land and territories of the Wendat, the Anishinaabe, the Mississauga, the Haudenosaunee, and the Ojibwe Chippewa nations. I offer my gratitude to our First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people for their teachings about the earth, relations, and community. Let us all work to honor those teachings and always speak the truth about the colonialism, genocide, and cultural erasing of Indigenous people. Love thy neighbor indeed. If you are a neighborhood regular, welcome as we are journeying home, which just happens to be the theme for September. If you're visiting us here at Neighborhood for the first time, we also welcome you. Please stay around after service. If you don't go to a breakout room to discuss today's topic, our minister, Reverend Wayne, will stay in the main room to answer any questions you might have about who we are and what we do. For starters, our mission here at Neighborhood is to empower spiritual growth and shared action for the care of the world. As I mentioned earlier, today's theme is Love Thy Neighbor. As I was preparing for this service, I was thinking about my own life journey. I continued to be a work in progress. I was thinking about how my ego tends to get in the way, not only of my loving others, but also in loving myself. We may be taught love thy neighbor as thyself, but what if we don't really love ourselves? Is it possible to love others and treat them well if we're not able to do this for ourselves? Perhaps to do so, we need to look at ourselves honestly, warts and all, and notice how our egos can at times contaminate our opinions. It seems to me that those members who spoke at last Sunday's conflict resolution debrief were able to do this. They have recognized the need to move forward by treating neighbors at Neighborhood and beyond with kindness and compassion. Here at Neighborhood, we draw wisdom from many sources. Today, I have chosen a thought from Alain de Botton's 8 Rules of the School of Life. With both humor and seriousness, he says, accept your idiocy. Don't run away from the thought that you might be an idiot, as if it were a rare and dreadful prospect and insight. You are an idiot, but there is no other alternative for a human being. We are on a planet with 7 billion comparable fools. Because messing up is expected, it should make us comfortable with ourselves and ready to extend a hand of friendship to our similarly broken and demented neighbors. We should overcome shame and shyness because we have shed so much of our pride. Traditionally, at this time in our service, we ask you to turn to your neighbor and greet them. Now, briefly unmute your device, switch to gallery view, and offer a greeting to those beautifully demented neighbors around you.
Hello, fellow demented one.
Hello,
morning,
Good morning.
around us.
Good morning, everyone.
Hi,
Helen, Bruce.
Good
morning.
Hi,
Michael.
Bruce. Hi, Terry.
Good morning.
Not demented at all.
Chris.
Hi.
Brenda.
What did I
Hi,
do?
Colleen. Hi, Michael.
Morning.
Susan.
Hi, Helen.
Hi, Steve. Hi, Bruce. Terry.
David, Lauren, Peter,
John. Hi, Luann.
Hi, Yvette.
Good morning.
Hi, Shelton.
Wayne.
Hi, Julie.
Hi, Lauren.
Hi, Michelle and Gord.
And we're back. Now I invite you to join me in reading our opening words, which will appear on your screen. If you're on a phone and don't know the words, just listen to my reading as we say together. Let us cast a circle of a sacred space here. Let us cast a circle of a cherished space here. A space of safety, a place of forgiveness, a place of love. If we want the world to change, we must craft in our space and in ourselves the seeds that grow a different kind of life. A life of graciousness, of creative intelligence, a place of life and spirit for ourselves and our families. Now, as we hold this place open to grace and insight, please join Susanne for our opening song. Susanne?
Thanks, Deb. Sorry, I think someone's unmuted. Thank you. The last concert we held at Neighborhood when we were on Hiawatha was with Emma's Revolution, which is an outstanding American duo of singer-songwriters. We're going to sing one of Pat Humphrey's songs to start the service this morning, Common Thread. I'll teach you the chorus. It has 4 verses. The chorus keeps coming back. You can join me to sing along. So it's a song of hope for a better world where respect for our differences enhances our common ties. So it goes. We will rise like the ocean, we will rise like the sun. Let's try that. We will rise like the ocean, we will rise like the sun. Next line. We will rise all together, we will rise. We will rise all together, we will rise. And then, in our many colored fabrics, made from strands of common thread. In our many colored fabrics, made of strands of common thread. We will rise all together, we will rise. We will rise all together, we will rise. I'm going to start the song with the chorus so we can put that all together, and you'll find the rest of the lyrics in the chat. Thank you very much, Peter. I'm sure they are going to appear in just a moment. And there they are. Thank you. We will rise like the ocean, we will rise like the sun. We will rise all together, we will rise. In our many colored fabrics made from strands of common thread, we will rise all together, we will rise. In a many colored garden we are growing side by side, and all together we will strands of common thread. We will rise all together, we will rise. We can feed our grain to cattle. We can feed our grain to cattle, and the rich man will be fed. We will rise all together, we will rise. Or we'll feed our grain to people, and the millions will have bread. We will rise all together, we will rise. We will rise like the ocean, we will rise like the sun. We will rise all together, we will rise. And no more will there be hunger in these strands of common thread. We will rise all together, we will rise. We have pierced this quilt together. We have pierced this quilt together, linking hearts with stitching hands. We will rise all together, we will rise. We are sorry, I sang the wrong line. Can we go back and do this verse again? Sorry, everyone. In the cold of fear and hatred, here we are. In the cold and fear of hatred, clothed in dignity we stand. We will rise all together, we will rise. We have pierced this quilt together, linking hearts with stitching hands. We will rise all together, we will rise. We will rise like the ocean, we will rise like the sun. We will rise all together, we will rise. We are spirits drawn together tightly by our common threads. We will rise all together, we will rise. From our children to our elders, we will all together, we will rise. We will build a global family from the strands of common thread. We will rise all together, we will rise. Rise like the ocean, we will rise like the sun. We will rise all together, we will rise. We will build a global family strengthened by our common threads. We will rise all together, we will rise. We will rise all together, we will rise. Thanks, everyone. Looking forward to doing that one with the Spirit Band one day.
Thank you, Suzanne. Now, all the young and young at heart, please come close to the screen because Zack has sent something wonderful and exciting to share with you. Let's roll the video.
Good morning, everybody. Well, if it hasn't been made clear yet, today we're talking about love. Love over a lifetime. The different ways it's seen and felt and expressed. And the different types of love that there are. So I did something a little different this week. I wrote a poem for you all about the different ways to express love. I hope you enjoy it. I call it Simple Love. What is love, and how is it expressed? How do we show to those we care about our best? Stories abound about love. Songs say that it sounds like the coo of a dove. Ancient writers write about love and its grace. I've heard love described as a gentle mother's face. They say love is patient. They say it is kind. They say love is simple, though often I find that the simplest of loves are often passed over as we look for the love with the rosiest odor. And love can be simple and seen every day in hundreds of small and most regular ways. Love can be given by holding the door for someone you never have talked to before. Love can be shared too by helping a friend, by joking and laughing and playing pretend, or by working to stop a relationship's end. Love can be felt in a long distance hug. It's when somebody saves the life of a bug or selflessly cleans your neighbor's old rug. How do you see love, and how do you share it? Are you one of those people who publicly wears it, who strolls around town in cute matching outfits? Or are you more shy, preferring a sweet private kiss? And where do you give love? That matters too. With people and pets, there's some hullabaloo, but nature is quiet and worth loving too. So whether you find yourself hugging a tree or saving a seal from some nets in the sea, you're loving our planet most naturally. Some time by yourself in an old forest lodge, or giving your partner a loving massage. Some loving words spoken, a comfort extended. It's simple for love to be shared when intended. So whether with words or with touch or with care, remember to see the love that's everywhere, and maybe find it a little more easy to share. One more thing as the end comes due. Love can be found in our poetry too, and this one was made to share love with all of you. Thank you for listening.
This is a special time in our service when we invite you to share a joy or concern in your life. If you'd like to do so, here's how to do it. Open your Reactions tab at the bottom of the main window and raise a virtual hand to be ready to share. Okay, then we light this final candle for all the joys and concerns that remain unspoken in our hearts. Now I ask our minister to lead us in meditation. Wayne?
Good morning, everyone. Wondered if I could remind you that we need to do meditation more than just for a few moments once a week. And if that is something that you'd like to do and you'd like me to help, I'll help anyone who wants to do that for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. We'll start on the 13th again in October on Wednesday evenings, but you can call me and we can set up a time to do it anytime. So if you can find a place to sit quietly, to rest, to heal. Remember that meditation isn't about what you think, it's more about how you think. About that stream of consciousness that drags us along, sometimes without our permission. And we can just breathe and find ourselves here in our body, caring for ourselves in that short moment. Sometimes memories spring to mind and take us down paths that we may not want to go down. Yet, we can come back to this moment in our body, in our heart, in our presence. Sometimes there are aches and pains, worries, fears that fill us as almost a space could be filled by smoke. And yet we can come back to this moment and our body. Take a breath. Be here now. Can you feel the subtle movement between being drawn out and coming home? As the music begins to play soon, see if you can hold the space to let it flow around you rather than going toward it. and then slowly we come back, taking our time. Monday night, Joan and I were walking on the beach just after sunset, and we noticed one of the largest electrical storms we've ever seen going on. It was on the other side of the lake. It must have stretched from Hamilton right through Buffalo and all the way almost to Rochester. Rolling lightning, jagged bolts from the clouds to the earth, the sky lighting up almost to the beach we were on. It really was magnificent. Many times on that walk, I said to myself, thank goodness that electrical storm is going on the other side of the lake. The other side. I think it's a natural thing to consider. We want danger to be far away from our home and loved ones. I think we all believe this, even if it is momentary. We say, thank goodness I didn't get that diagnosis, that I didn't get into that accident, that I wasn't part of that conflict. I'm glad I'm not with them. Our self-preservation instinct keeps us on our side of the lake, on our side of the argument, on our side of the ego. In COVID times, self-preservation keeps us on our side of the street. Sometimes it means we fear others and the problems they can cause. We have old wiring that makes us wary of others. It's there so we can survive when conditions are dangerous and threatening. We all, and I'm speaking about myself, we often pick sides, subtle or not. When bump becomes push and then push becomes shove, we're very capable of staying on our own side of the lake until the danger dissolves or goes away. This means that we're a little bit suspicious of our neighbors. Neighbors, of course, can be a problem. We all have heard or lived it. I wonder if someone in the congregation could tell us a story of how things went sideways with one of your neighbors. Maybe you can raise your virtual hand and Mike will call on you. And I've got one little thing to tell, and then maybe a story will come to you. The one I remember is that the neighbor next to my parents' house called the police to come when the water from the sprinkler that was watering the lawn went over the fence and watered the lawn on their side. Mike? Beata?
Good morning, everyone. Sure, I've got lots of neighborly stories. Okay, let's do a simple one. We had a beautiful pond that was all legal on our front porch. And we had a new neighbor who, rather than came and spoke to us, called the city to say, to file a noise complaint. So the city came to the house one day and took a look at it, and I showed him the papers, the permits we got. And I said to that gentleman, if my neighbor's air conditioning unit, which was right outside my porch, is for sure louder decimal-wise than my waterfall, then he has a complaint. Otherwise, too bad, so sad. The rest of the neighborhood loved it. That's all, thanks.
Maybe we have time for just one more. Is that Lauren and Dave?
Yeah, hi there. So when my children were really young, my daughter at 8 months had decided that she would try all of our neighbors' green tomatoes that were on the chain link fence. And I didn't realize she was doing this, but she'd take a bite out of all 40 of these tomatoes and ruin them. And our neighbor said, I don't know, but I think we might have squirrels. She was so diplomatic about it. And then I caught my daughter doing it. And I had to admit, I'm sorry, it's not a squirrel. It's my, 10-month-old daughter trying all of the green tomatoes.
Mike, I'm going to ask if we can listen to Allison too, and then we'll have to go on.
Thank you. Yeah, in my house, my sons there are a number of us living in our house, and my sons are very social. This was pre-COVID, and would have friends coming to visit and coming and going. And our neighbors called the city to suggest that we had too many people living here. And we got an inspection and learned that, in fact, the 5 of us could live in this large house, and no one else. I mean, the numbers were much higher that were permissible.
Thank you. I see that Bruce and Natalie have a hand up, but Bruce and Natalie, can we get you another time just so that this doesn't go on too long? At the same time that we might be wary of our neighbors, and we all have stories, I think we had even more hands go up, we also understand the faith statement, love thy neighbor. It's a faith statement because there's no certainty. We believe we should love our neighbor and they should love us for many reasons. We have faith in neighborly love because it ironically, even though those stories abound of struggle, it ironically makes us feel safe to love our neighbor. It helps us work together. It sets the stage for creativity and sharing. Loving our neighbor helps us build the beloved community. How could we build the beloved community without the neighbors? And nothing guarantees this. We rely on faith to do this. Generosity relies on faith. So does kindness and compassion rely on faith. We know that love thy neighbor offers us a way to love and be loved, which is something we're looking for almost always. If we love our neighbor, it allows us to find common ground inside ourselves as well as with others. The problem with the faith statement, love thy neighbor, is we have this other thought going on in our head. The neighbor that hated us, that called the city, that called the police, that might try to get ahead, might infect us, might hurt us or compete with us and be better at playing the zero-sum game than we are. This can cause us to want to love the neighbor, but never get around to doing it. Sometimes we try to love our neighbor hoping we'll be loved back. We try to love our neighbor hoping we'll be loved back, but that's business. It's not love. Measuring how much love we received from others as the reason for how much we should give back, it's really never love. Since the tension between keeping safe and loving our neighbor is clearly within our culture, I thought it might be good to reconsider love thy neighbor. And I see 2 ways. The first is we can do little things at little cost to ourselves that demonstrate we care about them. For example, Joan and I have been trying to cultivate good relationships with about 4 of our neighbors. We bring them soup or pie or cookies. We help them trim their trees or shovel their driveway. We offer a holiday party each year and invite every one of them. Some of you might have met some of these people at that party. We had faith that one day they would reciprocate. They would feel it. They would take it in. Faith because, of course, again, there's no certainty. And you know, after doing this for 10 years, this last year, they responded. Now, I'm going to ask you about some good stories about neighbors, but I want you to finish listening to this one as you think of your own. At the end of this summer, one of our neighbors gave us a snowblower. It's a big snowblower. It's got lights and power and it goes fast and it's kind of unbelievable. He got it from his mother's estate and couldn't use it. He said he noticed how hard it was for us to remove the snow from between our houses. There's nothing for about 35 or 40 feet, so we have to carry the snow all the way to the back or all the way to the front. The driveway is long and carrying that is like, when it's heavy, snow is pretty hard. He must have seen us carrying the snow each time it snowed. He's right across the street. So when he got the snowblower and couldn't use it on his tiny little driveway, he thought, I'll give it to them. How about any of you? Do you have stories, good stories, about a neighbor? Something that connects, that loves, that takes care of? Susanne?
Mine just happened this morning, actually, as I was leaving the house. And normally, I'm a musician. I make a lot of noise. Usually the neighbors are complaining about me and my noise. But this morning, as I walked out of my back gate, a neighbor was walking by with her dog, and she said, "Are you the person that's doing the music on the weekends? Thank you so much. I'm at home with my baby, and I love hearing you. It really picks up my spirits." And we've been playing in the yard through COVID, so that was a really wonderful thing to hear this morning on my way.
Thank you. Could I get Phyllis and Fred?
Yes, up until recently, we had these great neighbors across the driveway here, and little things. We would bring each other's bins back from the curb on garbage morning, whatever, and share bounty from our gardens, share the gardens. She was always making too many tomato plants and things. She'd say, "Here, have these for your garden." And it was really wonderful. They sold the house and moved, and now we have new neighbors to train up. And so
they also had a big snowblower, and that helped
oh
with
yes,
our
they had
driveway.
a big snowblower. That was very helpful. She would share it with us and her uncle across the street, and everybody's driveways would get snow blown when it was time. Anyway, it was lovely, and I kind of miss that friendliness. But the neighbors next door now are pretty nice too, so we're kind of working that up.
They need to buy a snowblower.
We need to buy it.
Dina, do you have a quick story?
I'm just wondering if Bruce and Natalie, because they didn't get a turn beforehand, if they want to go
I'm going to
ahead.
ask them next, Dina. I'm going to ask them next. Go ahead.
Okay, then that's good. So we think alike. Our neighbors had chickens, and we got eggs in the morning, which was very nice and lovely. And recently we had some music in our backyard, and they came over to sit and listen to the music. And Steve and Susanne played their son's favorite song, and there was just a lovely, sweet moment.
Thank you, Dina. Bruce and Natalie, only because I said no to you last time, maybe you could be our last story for this time, and others will have this kind of conversation more.
Well, the irony is it was Natalie's story that the last time, but it's going to be my story this time. Anyways, I'll make it up to Natalie later. The story I want to tell is I lived in the co-op for a long time, the Bain Co-op. Many of you probably know it, and I had this one neighbor who had a lot of difficulties with just things in life, and she started knocking on my door to ask me for help for different things, and in the end I kind of became her computer guy and her taxes guy, and I guess the thing about it is that she was not in a position to ever give back to me, but what I really appreciated about it was that she always came back to me whenever she had something else going on. And I just felt it was like that trust. And she trusted me with some very, personal things, to help her with some very personal things. So it's just the fact that she gave me her trust, I thought was really lovely.
Thank you.
She came to your birthday parties.
True.
We're going to do this a lot more, so don't worry. We can only have a few of these at a time. You know, those people who came to our parties, those neighbors in our neighborhood, another one of them started giving us bottles of wine he made. Now that can be a little weird, but it's actually pretty good, and I don't even like wine. Another of our neighbors constantly offers tools and help when we're doing yard work. It took 10 years of giving these little acts of kindness, tiny acts of love, before they began to reciprocate and actually take it in as well. I'm not sure what to do next, but we're thinking about it now, and we'll try to do something. These baby steps toward loving thy neighbor are important. They elicit kindness not only toward them, but in us. And incremental steps in kindness, it's a good way to move forward. And the second way to understand and implement this idea of love thy neighbor is cultivating enough love in ourselves to give some away. Have enough love to give some away. It's not so easy to do this. I don't say it lightly. We're often on the make for love. I was sitting with the Guru Ram Dass many years ago at a break in a seminar. We were privately and quietly talking through lunch. At one point he laughed and said to me, he said, "I see everyone who approaches me as a sexual object at first." "A sexual object?" I said, and we both burst into laughter. He revealed that this was his first impression of strangers and friends. I was shocked at how he saw this and admitted it to someone who was a casual friend. But his honesty and vulnerability deepened our conversation. We talked about how before you could love your neighbor, you had to love yourself with all your foibles. Loving your neighbor needed to include loving yourself with your bias, my fear, our desire. Because if you or I could love our imperfect self, well then maybe we might have a little bit of love to go around. If I can acknowledge my foibles, accept who I am, my silliness at times, my foolishness at times, then when I look at you and see your foolishness and foibles, maybe I can acknowledge that you're not different from me. And if I can love myself, maybe there will be enough love to give you some. This takes me past my neediness of love or sex or power. Once we see our humanity in others, it's easier to see their soul. And if I see your soul, or if you see my soul, then our souls fill with love. Love thy neighbor becomes possible. Can we think a little more deeply about this? We cannot love thy neighbor if we don't see the goodness and the shadows like Ram Dass did at the same time. Only when we acknowledge our goodness and shadow does it take us past the field that Rumi speaks about of good and bad, and we meet in that field. Helps us open our soul where we can draw enough love from our soul to maybe give some away. Jesus, Rumi, Mother Teresa, Nelson Mandela, Catherine of Siena, Martin Luther King, Hildegard of Bingen, Gandhi, all said this was how they were able to love their neighbor, by loving all of themselves, even the shadow. Last week when I mentioned if we could inhabit our aloneness, I mentioned that we could use our homes as a place to learn how to love ourselves. But we can use our homes as the base for loving our neighbor too. And in the safety of our homes, with our neighbors, forge a true sense of belonging, redecorating our inner landscape. Maybe it's easier if we combine these two ways of loving our neighbors. Maybe saying a thank you, a tiny little thank you, in that moment of knowing how scared we are, yet saying thank you with a little love. Can we say a contrite, I am sorry that my child ate all of your tomatoes, with a little love? Can we tell someone how wonderful they are without looking for them to tell us how wonderful we are? Baby steps in that movie Contact, you know, the father tells Jamie, baby steps. Love is messy. Love is awkward. Love is learned through trial and error. Love is childish, immature, humiliating, and it's humbling, inspiring, patient. Love means getting hurt, being disappointed, annoyed, frustrated, not expecting. Yet this is the way we learn how to love. And no matter how young or old we are, no matter our gender, our race, our standing, our sexuality, the spiritual life in its essence is about how we can learn to love. Because it's how we overcome our separateness, how we're able to become more than just the beings that end at the outside of our skin, how we achieve union and become whole. It's how we become whole. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Wayne. In these times of isolation, let's not forget that this congregation is a living entity, and like all living things, it must have nurture and sustenance. And let's remember, as we contribute to the life of this community, we affirm our lives within it. If you contribute by pre-authorized withdrawals, thank you. We can't pass the basket, but for those of you who make contributions to the basket each week, please consider writing a check or making an e-transfer, which is the most cost-effective way to give. You might even want to consider doing a recurring gift. A link is, looks like it's showing. A link is showing in your chat window. And all you need to do is click on it and it will bring you to the donation page. So we will now pause and listen to some music. Susanne?
Yes, I'm going to share with you what was originally published in our hymnal as Standing on the Side of Love by Reverend Shelton. And after it was published, Jason received feedback from the disabled community about the ableist language in this hymn. And he listened to that and responded with love and changed the lyric to answering the call of love instead of standing on the side of love, and reacted by loving his neighbors. We're just sing the chorus and the second verse. We are answering the call of love, hands joined together as hearts beat as one, emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim, we are answering the call of love. Sometimes we build a barrier to keep love tightly bound, corrupted by
Now Suzanne will lead us in the final songs. Suzanne?
Thanks. For our closing song today, I chose hymn number 159 from Singing the Living Tradition. It uses the tune Finlandia, which is a chorale from a bigger piece by Finnish composer Jean Sibelius. We also use the tune of Finlandia for our more commonly sung, more recent lyrics, We Would Be One. I see this hymn as the first principle, respect and dignity for all people, applied to a global scale. So I hope you'll sing along with me. The lyrics are on the screen and also in your chat. This is my song, O God of all the nations, a song of peace for lands afar and wide. This is my home, the country where my heart is. Here are my hopes, my dreams, my holy shrine. But other hearts in other lands are beating with hopes and dreams as true and high as mine. My country's skies are bluer than the ocean, and sunlight beams on clover leaf and pine. But other lands have sunlight too, and clover, and skies are everywhere as blue as mine. Oh, hear my song, thou God of all the nations, a song of peace for their land and for mine.
Now I invite you to sing with our choir as we extinguish our chalice.
Although our chalice has been darkened, we hold the fire within our own hearts.
Can I bless us with the authority that lies along us and among us, the authority of love thy neighbor? We're in the same boat now. Be emboldened by our faith so we can answer the call of love and call out with the call of love. Bless us all.
Oh. For those of you who do not wish to join a breakout room, thank you for joining us.